All right, you may or may not know it, but you are currently watching the end of, I want to say a trilogy, but it's not a trilogy. It's like 10 videos long. So a long time ago, I posted the best weapons series, and that consisted of the top 10 best weapons, along with every single subtype in the game, including traps and melees, and I actually put all of those together into what is called the best weapons in Fortnite Save the World. You probably recognize that video because it's the most popular one on my channel, and over the past 11 months, I know I've taken my sweet time, I have been updating every single one of those videos to go along with the new perk changes and the new damage bonuses and all the things that have changed since then. And I am here to present the final piece of that puzzle. Every single one of those videos will be linked down below, including the new ones. And then after this video is posted, I will be making the new best weapons video. But that's a little into the future. Right now, we are covering the best snipers in the game. We have covered the best bows, which never got a new video because they are kind of, they're good. That's up to date. It never needed a second video, and is something I'm mentioning very importantly right now, that we are not talking about bows today. They will be sprinkled throughout my inventory. As you can see, they are classed as snipers, but I think we can all agree that their playstyle is just completely different, and so they have their own video off to the side. We will not be mentioning bows today. And then we have covered the top 10 best weapons, the new best ARs, SMGs, shotguns, traps, pistols, launchers, and melees. And then finally today, we are covering the snipers. So let's get into the best snipers in Fortnite Save the World, the new best snipers, if you will. And I want to give a little bit of an apology. I don't back down on my words, but my very first best snipers video, it was very critical because snipers in this game are definitely in an uphill battle because Fortnite Save the World is a defense game where most of your enemies are rather close ranged and coming in groups and swarms. And frankly speaking, the targets that you're going to be hitting with snipers are like smashers, mist monsters. I consider smashers different because they're so beefy. The big fatty zombies, mini bosses, all of these bigger targets that you generally be using a sniper on because snipers are high damage, low fire rate, they just aren't, you don't need a sniper for that. They're going to be taken down quite easily with a high fire rate SMG or a good damage AR or a good shotgun. So snipers have always sort of been considered the lowest class of weapons, and I don't really disagree with that. However, there are a few standouts, and that's definitely what we're going to be getting into today. So before we get into it, I will have all of my best perks videos for these snipers linked down below. I haven't technically covered every single sniper in the game because, like I mentioned, snipers aren't really the best weapons in the game. And there are new ones like the Takedown here, which is a very good sniper. I'm just going to say that now. I did get a little bit of gameplay before recording this, and it is way stronger than you might think. Decent fire rate, decent damage. I'm really impressed. I ran a crit build just to test, but again, I haven't made the best perks on this, so I'll talk about all the different options in the future at some point. Comment down below if you want to see that, but definitely a really strong sniper, and I might not bring it up later since I mentioned it now. Regardless, I will have all of the best perks linked down below for every weapon that I have covered. And generally speaking, the rule of thumb is if I haven't covered it in the best perks video, there's usually a reason for that. If I haven't done the best perks for it, it's usually for the same reason you shouldn't upgrade it, but the Takedown is an exception to this rule. So I'm going to be going alphabetically. Let's start with the Blastotron 9000. The Blastotron 9000 is a really good sniper. It's really more of a DMR because it shoots semi-auto like an AR. You got about 10 rounds in the mag depending on your perks, and it just does really good damage. It does use energy cells, which is kind of a thing that you might want to consider, but being from the retro sci-fi set, I don't think anybody's going to be surprised when I say that this thing is actually really strong. So yeah, with a decent fire rate, high damage, and the essentially AR feel of a Blastotron 9000, it's kind of basically not even a sniper, and it's really good if you're looking for something easy to use. Another one that's actually very similar to the Blastotron 9000 is the Crankshot. And I think we're all going to know the Crankshot because it is essentially an automatic assault rifle. It has like 24 rounds in the mag without a mag-sized perk. Fully automatic, shooting 5 rounds a second, and a lot of people run this thing bright core with fire rate, and they pair it with Sub-Zero Zenith. Sub-Zero Zenith freezes enemies when your sniper crits, and with a super high fire rate, the Crankshot is basically a freeze ray. It actually shares this role rather nicely with the Vacuum Tube Sniper. I'm going to cover both of these weapons at the same time because the Vacuum Tube Sniper is really hard to control. It's not really a weapon that lends itself nicely to being a primary weapon. The Chain Lightning definitely does help with that. That's one of the updates to the old videos that chain lightning exists now, and it adds a lot of really good crowd clearing to this weapon. And the vacuum tube sniper and the crankshot both have a decent enough fire rate and crit damage to be very, very good. As I said, freeze rays to be paired with Sub-Zero Zenith. I've never actually technically made a video on Sub-Zero Zenith, but I covered him pretty heavily in the crankshot video, so link to that down below. But I covered him pretty heavily in the vacuum tube sniper and I think the crankshot video, one of those two or both. Link to those down below. Like I said, I definitely get into it there. All right, I was wondering when I was going to get to this. So this might be a little too early to say a thing like this, but I'm going to just go for it. I do believe that the Neon Sniper and the Obliterator are the best snipers in the game. In fact, I actually have the Obliterator's favorited because I covered its best perks right before uploading this because I wanted to make sure that I had all my boxes checked. The Obliterator is just frankly the most viable sniper. I'm not even going to lie, just speaking from personal experience, it's essentially the only sniper I use. I want to clarify again here, I am not talking about bows. I use them quite regularly. They are very strong. There's a reason the Xenon is supercharged. I am talking about strictly snipers. I do not use anything really other than the Obliterator. Editing beast here. I just wanted to clarify because I finally synced up the perks on my Neon Sniper and Obliterator, and I really wanted an apples to apples comparison to really compare these weapons. And I'll link this DPS calculator down below. I use it for all of my videos. I don't like to show a ton of numbers in these videos because it can get very confusing for those who don't need me to prove every little thing I'm saying, but the Neon Sniper was doing about 106,000 DPS, and the Obliterator is doing more damage, and it's a cheaper weapon, and that's definitely why I prefer it. But these weapons are extremely even, so if you just completely ignore the fact that the Neon Sniper takes batteries and energy cells, making it very expensive, the Neon Sniper will have more range than the Obliterator because they can see through the walls, and it'll be basically the same amount of damage. The difference between 116,000 and 106,000 is irrelevant. You just hand it off to a defender and forget about it. So I just wanted to get that clarification in there. These are essentially the same weapons, but now you kind of know why I'm so heavily weighted towards recommending the Obliterator. These are definitely the best snipers in the game for handing off to defenders. They can shoot through the walls, doing really good damage, shooting at a decent fire rate, and it's just a fantastic combo all around. And not to mention, the Obliterator is a pretty fantastic pickaxe, so hey, that's kind of a perk too. And now this is kind of a personal favorite. The Ol Betsy and the Spyglass are the exact same weapon. In fact, if I compare these two, you'll see that their stats are identical. The only difference, of course, is the Spyglass has a scope and more range. That's literally it. So these are, essentially speaking, the exact same weapon. I used to use this way back in the day. I've told this story every time it's come up, so I'm going to make it quick. It used to be my secondary, my Miss Monster Killer. It doesn't really do that anytime outside of the 100 power level zones. Once you get to that higher part of Twine, it just doesn't do enough damage to one-shot, so it's really not a viable pick as an endgame player, personally speaking. But if you're watching this as somebody who's in Canny, Plankerton, or hey, if you're lucky to have one of these in Stonewood, this will definitely be a really good weapon for one-shotting Mist monsters for up until the 100 zone. So, personally speaking, I've always loved the Spyglass, but it just doesn't work in that late game, and so I had to put it away. But I've always hoped that they'll buff this weapon in the future, and I actually want to bring something up now. So we're going to be going to my collection book because I do not have a copy of these on hand, but the Spyglass definitely reminds me of the Spy Sniper, the Cleaner. The Cleaner is a candidate to be one of the best snipers in the game. I do not keep a copy on hand because it has a crippling flaw, a 3-second reload speed that cannot be sped up with a reload perk. The only hero currently in the game as of recording to buff your reload speed is Chromium Ramirez, and she is the only one that'll actually do anything for that. And running Chromium Ramirez in the lead for a reload bonus just to use the Cleaner doesn't even make sense because your fire rate is 0.3. So even if you reload in time, you're not going to be able to shoot. It's ridiculous. It is just so unfortunate because if you look at the damage numbers, which may or may not be something I can show you because Fortnite DB wasn't working earlier, you can take my word for it at least. The Cleaner is the hardest hitting sniper in the game besides the Crossbows. Yes, I said the Crossbows. Yes, they are good. And yes, we'll get to them later. But the Cleaner hits like a truck. Look at this thing. Level 30 with the perks not even gold. It's already doing 400k headshots. Trust me when I level this thing up, it's a monster. But you're waiting 3 seconds to reload, so it's not going to be featured heavily in today's video as a good weapon, but I'll say, if they add a reload perk, I'll pin a damn comment. That is a good weapon just waiting to be useful. So hopefully that gets a buff, but for now, the Cleaner, Ol Betsy, Spyglass are all very similar weapons, and the Spyglass, at least, is quite usable. Now, the Ralphie's Revenge, kind of a fan favorite, kind of just a sneaky little fun weapon. My perks are blue because back in the day I wasn't rich, and it's locked to physical, which is honestly just a crippling flaw. If it wasn't locked to physical, it's a decent fire rate, you know, just kind of a DMR, much like the Blastotron like I showed earlier. It has an insanely high headshot multiplier of a 6 times headshot multiplier. With a couple of headshot perks, you can see it's doing 10 times damage for hitting headshots. This thing is really, really nuts if you can hit them in the head, but of course, in the higher level twine missions, which is where I play mostly, if you're running up against an elemental enemy, it's just not going to do enough damage. For those who don't know elements, if you're shooting at an elemental enemy with a physical weapon like this, you're going to be doing half damage, which cuts my headshot multiplier to 5, essentially speaking, and it just sucks. It's unfortunate. I really don't know why they don't let you change the element. Maybe you'd be too strong, but you'd have to hit headshots, so you'd really be earning that damage, and so I don't know. Ralphie's Revenge, if it ever gets the option to change elements, could be very good. But for now, it's just a really fun weapon if you're looking to just try something new. And along the lines of just having some fun, the Super Shredder is, much like the crossbow, a weapon that you'll be surprised to hear is, yeah, really good. The age-old debate is the fact that it uses shotgun shells and it shoots like a shotgun, but is it a shotgun? No, it's a sniper. It's classed as a sniper, so we're bringing it up here, not the shotgun video, and it's good. I'm not going to elaborate too far because I've already spent a lot of time talking about some of the better snipers today, but it hits really good headshots, decent fire rate. Link to that video down below if you guys want to hear more about it. It's better than you might think, but it's not a top pick. Now, the takedown, I mentioned it in the intro, so I'm not going to get too far into it, but it's a sleeper pick. I have not covered it since it came out. I really should, so comment down below if you guys want me to cover it. I will put it in the description, so look for it there before you comment. But yeah, really, really good weapon. I was impressed with it. Alright, so you might have thought I was trolling you, but anybody who's been watching my videos for a long time knows that I can't spot weapons in a group, and I actually skipped the Heartbreaker on accident. So, we are finally getting to crossbows. Yes, I said it earlier, these are the hardest hitting snipers in the game, which is funny because their base damage is 316, and the cleaner's base damage is 315. So Epic literally did double their damage in the 12.0 update, as you can see, and gave them 1 point more damage than the other best sniper in the game, and they hit insanely hard. This is some old footage back when Chrome Husks existed. They come with the Blockbuster event, so if you're playing during the Blockbuster event, this is relevant, but if you're watching this as of release, they're not a thing. But suffice it to say, Chrome Husks actually have more health than a Smasher, and they are not fun to deal with. However, the Heartbreaker, going back and forth, you know, double pumping as you will, actually does enough damage to where they just knock them on their butt with the super high impact and do a decent amount of damage because it's hitting extremely hard. It should be noted that the Heartbreaker and the regular military crossbow are exactly the same. If I compare the stats here, you'll see that they are the exact same weapon, save for the 6 perk options. And I actually called it in my crossbow video. Core reperk was not even anything that any players knew anything about, but I mentioned that if you're able to change the 6 perks, they might be a lot better in the future, and I was right. You can have Affliction on the crossbow. Back in the day, I think we had like 9 different options on Fortnite DB, so they clearly trimmed that down for the core reperk release, but the Heartbreaker is good as it is because a 30% weapon damage bonus by just pulling up your scope is an insanely good damage bonus, really good 6 perk, and I wouldn't change that on any sniper in the game, I don't think, because that's just a nice thing to have. Even the headshots cause an explosion is nice for some extra bonus damage to the enemies around it. It gives it some area of effect damage, which snipers really need and can benefit from, but a 30% damage bonus is super nice. So yeah, I'm not kidding. If you guys ever want to have some fun with crossbows, literally just 2 of them back forth with coconuts or something, it's a really fun combo and you'll be impressed. I should also add, before I get out of this, it does have pierce, so not only are you doing a ton of damage, but you're shooting through other enemies, and it's a great old time. We have officially moved into the more of a question mark territory, because if I don't have a weapon leveled up, that's usually a bad sign, but I haven't tested every sniper in the game. So I'm just going to rattle off a few here that might be good that I haven't tested. So Bon Voyage, I have tried it out. It's actually pretty good. I wasn't blown away by it, but it's basically like a good B or C tier sniper. The Deathwing could also be good. The One Shot could also be good. The Tsunami could also be good. I've heard a lot of good things about it. Vindertech Jolter, Sunsetter, Triple Tap. Good rule of thumb is if I haven't heard anybody say, hey, this weapon's amazing, it's probably bad. I believe all of these snipers to be within the B or C tier range, just pretty good. If any of these are insanely strong and you have a good case to make, comment down below, but it is probably worth skipping these weapons. I have done completely fine having never used them before. So yeah, Dragonfly, again, I'm not shocked if it's a bad weapon, but I'd be blown away if it's really good. What I will say is in these unleveled up weapons, there is one that might be pretty decent, and that is the Dragon's Claw Sniper. This, along with most of the other dragon weapons, are just pretty bad, but it does have a redeeming quality. In fact, if you pull up this weapon, you'll see that it shoots small fireworks that embed in the target and explode. It's very similar to the Powder Keg Sniper, but the explosions are a little smaller, and they're a lot more focused. What happens there is it's decent for crowd clearing and can be super fun to spam, but it's not anything that's ever really impressed me. So Dragon's Claw can be super fun, but it's nothing that has really ever drawn my eye personally. Now, before we get into the last sniper in the game, I do want to make one mention of the Zapotron sniper. I'll admit I've missed it in my first round of recording because I don't have a copy of this weapon. It has been given to me before, and I do have a video on it, link below, of course, but I wanted to mention that this weapon is kind of a mystical weapon. It's one of those super old weapons that was added to BR. It was super overpowered for a little bit, but the importance of this is that it does actually do a really good amount of damage right now. Unfortunately, it's single target damage. There is no viable crowd clearing. You have to charge it up. It uses energy cells. It's super expensive. It has all of the regular drawbacks that I've mentioned before. And I have to mention the Zapotron in a sniper video, but it's still not super viable. I'm not going to consider it a good weapon, but I figured I should at least bring it up just so you know I didn't forget it. And I have saved the best for last. A sniper so good that I forgot I uploaded it. Freeze frame. Okay, you're going to hear me call it Yeoman throughout this recording. I know it's called the Yeoman, and I always forget that. I just wanted to get ahead of those comments down below. Okay, play. The Yeoman sniper. I can't even do this. It's a meme. This weapon is a favorite amongst us to kind of joke about. It is a long-range javelin weapon. So it is the only sniper in the game with bullet drop. So it is a very hard to control single shot reload weapon, which does more damage than Spyglass, but yeah, good luck hitting your shots consistently. It used to have a claim of fame for being really good at doing high damage to the UFOs, but then the Xenon bow came around and it just made it useless, and it no longer has any use. The Yeoman, I'm not even trolling. I genuinely forgot that I had uploaded this video. Somebody brought it up in chat one day, and I was like, oh my god. It was after the stream that I had realized that I did have a best perks on this, and if I forgot about my own video, that's usually a bad sign. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm going to do 2 outros right now. I'm going to say thank you for watching the sniper video, but if you are watching at the very end of the best weapons video, not the sniper video, don't comment on the sniper video. If you're watching at the very end of the best weapons video, I want you to say that Controller Harper has a very fetch blue jacket. Some of you might know what that means. Some of you might see the code in that, but I want to see those comments down below. Feel free to use code. I support Archer personally, but my code is Mista. I'd greatly appreciate it. These videos take a ton of work, and it helps me out a lot. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And then